Okay, it's our turn. Question?
Well, I suppose playing Justin at Play Sport was one of your first roles in show business. So I was wondering what impact did it have to play a gay character in your personal life?
I don't know specifically how it applied that it was a gay character, but just being on television changed my life because I got recognized places. I started behaving differently. I started wearing hats and sort of slouching because I didn't like drawing attention to myself anyway, but then suddenly I was getting attention, which was very strange. But in a way it was a relief because I was out to, I mean, all my friends and my family, but suddenly I never had to have that awkward conversation with anyone because most people, everybody would know beforehand that I was gay, which was helpful. It definitely changed my life, but I can barely remember my life before that, so. My turn. Have all of you seen the show?
Yeah.
And you hear it aired on like a major network, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very late at night.
Because it's interesting, because in the States, not many people, I mean a fair amount of people saw the show, but it aired on a network that you had to pay extra to get, so a lot of people saw it. And then as I've gone to a few other countries to talk about the show, and it totally depends on how the show is disseminated. It totally changes the audience and the amount of people who saw the show and want to talk. It's interesting to me. Like, I won't get recognized very rarely in the States now, especially in New York. But the second I got at the airport, even the LL employees all recognized me.
That's very distinctive for LL employees.
I thought, whoa, people in Israel must know the show much more than they do in the States, which is very strange.
As a representative from the States, we used to like sit around the TV watching every week. Religiously.
Where are you from in the States?
Well, I lived in San Francisco when we were watching.
Okay. And are you here permanent? What are you doing?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet? How long have you been here?
A year.
Okay.
That doesn't qualify as a question.
No.
Hey, I would like to know a little bit about your community you come from and like what type of things you've done towards the community when you got out.
Okay.
Was it totally towards the community as it helped you, or if you wish to grant something back, it would help you assist you?
Okay. I'll answer a bunch of things with that question, I think.
Could you speak up a little?
Yes, of course. I've always been an actor. I've been acting since I was very young, and I think because I was always immersed in theater, I always had an area of my life where homosexuality was accepted, where I felt accepted and could be pretty open. So I came out in high school when I was 16, which at the time was pretty young, especially because I was in the South. I was in Georgia, which is a more conservative area of the United States. Also in high school, interestingly, we had a very strong community service program. So everybody was required to do some kind of volunteer work, a specific amount of hours every year. And there was no, probably because it was a relatively conservative school in a conservative area, there was no sort of gay outreach or safe sex education outreach. So even in high school, I sort of started a group from my high school who would volunteer with an Atlanta organization that helps disseminate mostly safe sex education for high school students in the area and AIDS education. So I was sort of active in that way early on. Then the show came about, and I found it really complicated because I was. That's fine. Answer it.
Maybe it's another question coming.
I felt very comfortable doing the kind of outreach work that I was doing just as an individual, but suddenly because I was known as a gay person playing this character on TV, I felt like I was sort of obligated to do something that I wasn't as comfortable. Like I felt much more comfortable, teaching people how to put on a condom one-on-one, doing basic things, but suddenly sort of representing something on a larger scale is still something that I'm sort of struggling with the best way to use that positively for the community. I definitely feel like now just my visibility is of an enormous amount of value, especially to young people who watch the show and related to Justin a lot. So I try to just be visible, to come to places like this, to talk about my story, especially for younger people, to talk about coming out stories, to talk about, you know, for people in the States who are not living in major cities, there's plenty of areas where it's deeply, deeply more than uncomfortable, dangerous to be open about who you are. So for me, it's important that I keep myself visible and keep the message out there that there are havens and that there's a community waiting to embrace you. But it's still a struggle as far as what the show has done for me and presenting myself as some kind of ambassador or role model. Or I'm not entirely comfortable, but hopefully I do some good in some capacity by just talking and being myself.
Wow.
Did that answer your question a little? Okay.